last part of 6-6, part 3, solving tough equations with logs. So page 336, number 7, right? Okay. All right, so now you need to think about your log rules. And, sorry, I'm moving off the screen. We have log, put parentheses around the 5x, please, because they're both in the log. Plus log of x minus 1, is it equals 3? 2. 2. Perfect. Okay, kids. We can't just drop the logs because there's no log over there. We can't swoosh because there's 2 things over here and 1 thing over there. So addition becomes what? Multiplication. So write this carefully with me. 5x times x minus 1, close parentheses, right? 2 log additions become 1 log multiplication. 2 log additions become 1 log multiplication. We'll figure that out later. Equals 2. Okay? So now in this case, when we multiply, we have to distribute, right? So let's distribute. Log of 5x squared minus 5x. Okay, so now it's just 1 set of parentheses. They're still in the logs. Equals 2. All right, and now, what's the base that's missing? Base 10. Thanks for running for the video.
What?
Nothing.
What did you say to me?
Thanks for running for the video. So, base 10, and now we can swoosh. So, 10 squared? 10 squared equals 5x squared minus 5x. 100. Of course it equals 100, but we're not there yet. All right, so 10 squared equals 5x squared minus 5x. So 10 squared is 100. Good job, everybody. And if we're solving a quadratic, we need to get 0 on one side, right? So let's take away 100 from both sides. And let's remember our lovely factoring. So 0 equals 5x squared minus 5x minus 100. Do we see a GCF?
5.
So let's take out a 5. Now, do you know 2 numbers that multiply to 20 but subtract to negative 1?
5.
4 and 5. Negative 5 and 4.
Negative 5 and positive 4. Very good. Right? So, basic algebra 1 factoring. 2 numbers that multiply to this number. This operation, add or subtract, so in this case subtract, to this number right here, negative 1. So even if you get 5 or 4, those are the first 2 numbers that go through my head. Then I figure out the signs afterwards. Now, this 5, does it matter? It doesn't matter because it doesn't have an x. Okay, so we can just divide both sides by 5. 5 over 5 is 1. 0 over 5, class, is what? 0. So now we're back to 0 equals x minus 5. Sorry, the quantity of x minus 5 times the quantity of x plus 4. And all we do now is just change the signs. So x equals positive 5 or negative 4.
But I think you want to like not work.
We got there. Yeah, Alejandro.
Yeah, negative 4 wouldn't work because you can't take log of negative 20.
Good.
Well, there is a some.
Not on the negatives. So, are we okay with the factoring? Right? We have to eventually swoosh. We then factor to solve. Once you get these 2 answers, we need to go back to the question. Oops. Sorry. Back to the question. The original question. Not any of your work. Let's plug in 5. Log of 25. Do you think you could plug that in your calculator and get a number?
Yep.
All right. Log of 5 minus 1. What's log of 4? Do you think you could plug that in your calculator and get a number? Okay, so good. But if we plug in negative 4 up here, we're going to get negative 20. So remember, log is a question, and the question is what's the exponent? What exponent takes a 10 and gets you a negative 20? Nothing. So write down a little note to yourself. You can't have a negative in the log. You could have just walked around. You can't have a negative in the log. So when you take your answers and you plug them back in and you realize it's set in your work, you literally in your work have log of a negative number, cross that answer out. This is your only answer. Okay? Why don't you guys try number 8, but I'm going to do it at the board too. Okay? So number 8, same page. All right, there's a lot to remember. Anything you notice that you need to write down to yourself, not in math, but in English, to remember for later, write it down now. Or sorry, as you do this problem. So log base 4 of x plus 12. Plus log base 4 of x equals 3. All right, so 2 additions become 1 multiplication. And I have log base 4 of, and I'm just going to write my x in front, but it's x plus 12, the quantity of x plus 12 times x. Now that I have 1 log, I can swoosh. So 4 cubed equals x, and I can also distribute x squared plus 12x. I need to know what 4 cubed is.
64.
64, very good. So 64 equals x squared plus 12x. We take away 64 from both sides. We get 0. And now I need to think of 2 numbers that multiply to 64 but subtract to positive 12.
16 and 4.
Very good.
Oh, 16 and
Yep. Yeah, well again, I always think of the numbers first and then I figure out the signs. Positive 16 minus 4 gets me positive 12. So to get an answer, I just change the signs. Negative 16 and 4 could be our answers, but we got to go back up to the question. And let's go to the easiest one. Log base 4 of what can I plug right in there?
That would be.
Is it the negative I don't like or the positive? It's the negative, right? I can't have log of a negative number. So I'm going to cross this out. My answer, my only answer is 4. Okay? There's a lot. So we need to practice. So for the rest of the period, let's do page 338. And let us do, I'm sorry, page 339. Let's do 33, 35, and 37 to start. So at home, page 339, 33, 35, 37 to practice.
We're done